The easiest and quickest way to test someone's intelligence is to make a generalized statement about a group. Say something like, Asian men are shorter on average. And if they say any variation of, not all Asian men are short, or I know a tall Asian guy, you are dealing with someone genuinely low IQ. They have proven that they aren't intelligent enough to understand abstract ideas like a statistical average or per capita. Why else would they think it's so profound to bring up an exception? They literally cannot understand abstracts, and no attempt at rationalizing or explaining yourself will increase their IQ.
Your individual success in life is largely determined by your genes. The success of the country you live in is determined by the genetics of its population. This is the essence of the black pill. There's a micro version, focused on dating, where height and facial structure dominate, and there's a macro version, which zooms out to entire populations rather than individuals. The macro perspective is highly taboo, yet more and more creators are beginning to acknowledge it. Why is only the micro version allowed to be discussed? Many viewers are from ethnic backgrounds. In fact, ethnic men are much more likely to consume dating content than white men. I suppose certain aspects of the macro black pill must hit especially hard for them. Also, when you first discover the micro black pill, it hits hard. I don't blame anyone for coping, whether through diet, bone smashing, or mewing. It's a natural response to such a brutal truth. But eventually, you'll wake up one day and simply accept the black pill. You won't feel anger towards an Indian girl who demands a 6 feet 7 inches white chat any more than you'd resent a cat for killing a mouse. People follow their instincts when you let them. And there's no real incentive for that Indian girl to have realistic expectations. Every modern institution is built to comfort women and ethnic men, while simultaneously discouraging and demoralizing white men. In Israel, the opposite is true. The average secular Israeli woman has 3 children, religious women have even more. Israel understands that its future depends on its ethnic majority. That's why the country strictly limits migration and actively builds a society that serves its own group interests. Theoretically, the same could happen in the West. But we lost the war to communism. Now we live in an era where only minorities are allowed to have collective interests. Go to Japan and marry a Japanese woman, Japanese men will despise you. But if you're a short Asian man who is physically harming white women in the West, other white men will cheer you on. They'll say you're morally justified because white women are evil. This isn't strength, it's defeatism dressed up as morality. Adolf Hitler once said, "The masses are female and must be ruled." That's not a misogynistic insult, it's a reflection of how the average person thinks. Most people simply aren't capable of rational or strategic thought on a societal level. The incels who lash out at white women might as well hate the moon for disappearing in the morning. They are lost, directionless, and in need of leadership, someone who actually acts in their interest, rather than someone who sees them as disposable. Most people are reactive. They only respond to what's right in front of them. They don't study history, they don't read old diaries, and they have no idea how women thought in 1930 or 1900. They are simply not equipped to decide what's best for themselves, let alone for a society. Here's an example.
Are you aware that men only got any rights to vote about a decade before women?
The right to vote was historically withheld from men of color. It was a right...
It was also withheld from
Listen to
the
me.
general population.
Do not cut me off. I am in the middle of speaking.
I don't care if you're in the middle of speaking. You're in the middle of a debate.
The right
You don't have your TikTok mute button, sweetheart?
I will not be speaking anymore until you have a conversation with him.
Well,
Mute button.
I did not go to school for 4 years and build a platform to be...
You'll see overweight women on podcasts saying things like, "I deserve a billionaire." That's not a person to be angry at. That's someone with a cognitive deficit. If your IQ is lower than your body fat percentage, you literally cannot think rationally. Society fails these people by not setting limits and expectations. In an authoritarian society, that woman would be thin. And her life would be far better for it. Sometimes people need someone else to make decisions for them, for their own good. Every company has a CEO for a reason. The average worker can't do what Tim Pool does. The same is true for nations. Israel has leaders who fight for their people. Our leaders fight against us. In his latest video, Rehab Room talked about the difference between men and women when it comes to being a genius.
According to the research, the data, there are twice as many men with an IQ north of 120. This is something observable by intelligence and cognitive ability tests. Now, we can discuss what IQ means.
And he's right, white men are about 60% more likely than white women to have an IQ of 120 or higher. That means in a room full of university students at that level, you'd expect something like 16 men for every 10 women. But he conveniently left something out. If you compare black men to white women, the difference is far more extreme. White women are over 1,100% more likely to have an IQ of 120. So the question is, why are there hundreds of videos pointing out the 60% gender gap, but almost none that talk about the 1,100% ethnic gap? Could it be, Rehab, that you're just trying not to offend your ethnic subscribers? To me, the black pill has always been about genetics, not just genetics in dating, but also in intelligence and group differences. Rehab Room also made the following statement about me on Discord. Costail just want to make a name for himself using my name. Some slop cringemecks are begging for my attention. He's just too small and irrelevant for to respond to. 95% of my viewers never even heard about him. That's what he is really mad about. Only some dedicated do, like some of you here, but 95% of viewers of the channel doesn't even know such channel exists. And I don't care what lies and misrepresentations he cooks up, or what he says about me. He is simply too small for me to address the BS, and therefore I instructed mods to remove and ban. Now, it's totally up to you whether you believe what he said. But I want to make one thing clear, I don't want Rehab Room to respond to my videos. It would just lead to mass reporting and takedowns. I've already lost 2 channels over this. And yes, I know I'm risking losing this one too. Still, what Rehab is doing is dishonest. From his perspective as an ethnic male, it makes sense to redirect all the hate toward women and form an alliance with white incels. But for white men, this is a disaster. The truth is, most ethnic men despise white men. They would never allow their own women to date outside their group, yet they feel entitled to white women. Ethnic men are laughing at white men. Historically, white men have always rebuilt society around their own interests. There were times when it looked like everything was lost, when children were literally selling themselves to bankers in the streets, when degeneracy was celebrated, but within a few years, things turned around. This time, though, it feels different. It feels like we lost for good. Because the enemy has learned, you can't just sell communism anymore, you have to replace the people themselves. What really offends me is when people say, it's always been this way. Those people haven't read a single history book in their lives. They're exactly the kind of 100 IQ midwits who should never have been allowed to vote in the first place. Historically, it has never been like this. Just read Madison Grant. We are the exception. In the past, white societies have reached levels of baseness that most people today couldn't even imagine. I do believe that white midwits have historically shown the ability to choose capable leaders. But the average white man or woman should not be in charge of running society. There must be an elite, a high IQ, ethnocentric leadership class that makes decisions in the interest of the group. The same way Israel's elite makes the right decisions for Israel.
ADL's for leftist genocide the Palestinians. Yeah. And this is Israel's policy right here. Heritage Minister claims Israel working to resettle Gaza. The government is rushing to erase Gaza. Thank God we're erasing this evil. All of Gaza will be Jewish. So, and this guy, he's happy to say this. So that this would be like if you just think a bunch of white people, not just... Okay, so let's say if you had a bunch of Jews, they went in the desert, they just want a Jewish only community, no one would care. Everyone would celebrate it, right? But they're doing more than that. They're actually pushing people out and either killing them or demanding they be relocate to our country, or Europe. You have to go to Europe or America. We don't want them here because we want our ethno state.